Hello and welcome to English 219. My name is Roger Davis and I will be teaching this section of the course. I'm going to give you a couple of introductory videos. The first one is just to cover some keywords associated with the course and give you some simple and slightly more robust definitions of these terms. And in a second video I will cover some of the course outcomes and give you more detailed information of what you can expect to see in this course. So the title of this course, I'll admit, it's not a very interesting or sexy title, Essay Writing and Critical Reading. So I just want to deal with those terms for a moment. That most of you know how to read and write, I hope. I'm sure you do. So I won't focus too much on those terms, but I want to look at the descriptors attached to those terms. Essay writing and critical reading. So essay writing, what is that? Most of you are coming to this course out of high school, I'm assuming, and you might be familiar with essays, and many of the essays that you've written in high school probably have to do with literature. This is not a literature course, so we're taking a much broader approach to writing essays in this class, because you might be a science student and thinking, why do I need to know how to write essays? And that's the key thing right there, is writing an essay. An essay is about working through an idea. And this is why it's a required course for almost all the disciplines in university, is that the essay writing that we're trying to teach in this course applies to all disciplines. It's not about writing essays about Shakespeare or about literature or stuff like that. It's about working through ideas. It's about having ideas and writing about them. So sometimes at the end of the course, or during the course, people say, I just want to get through English, or yeah, I'm done English and I never have to write another essay as long as I live. And that may be true in the sense that you don't have to write an essay with an introduction and body paragraphs and a conclusion, things we'll talk about later in the course. But the bad thing about that is, by saying I never have to write an essay ever again, is like saying I never have to think through an idea again. I never have to think again. And hopefully you have greater expectations of your life than not thinking. So what we're trying to teach in this course is, how do we treat ideas? How do we write about them? How do we develop them? How do we think through them? And that's what this course really is about. The second half is critical reading. And we all know how to read, but how do we read critically? Reading critically, the term critique means to evaluate or to assess or to make a judgment. A lot of the terms in this course have sort of developed bad reputations over time, that to be critical is often seen as a bad thing. Don't be so critical of your sister. That person's really critical. All they ever say is negative things, as if critique is only about the negative. And it's not. Critique is about making judgments. We can make judgments, we can make evaluations that might be positive or negative, or they could be any number of other things. Okay? So critical reading is about reading carefully, with an eye to assessing the information that we are taking in. So in this course, because we're not dealing with literature, we're dealing with nonfiction, stuff that is not made up, in other words, real world things. It's about how do we read stuff in the world of any kind, from newspapers to television to internet stuff. Okay, you've probably heard the term information literacy, or how to assess internet sources, because we're constantly online these days. When we encounter information, how do we assess that? So we are readers all the time, encountering information. And how do we assess it? How do we make judgments? Do we believe the fake news that we hear? Or is it actually real news? How do we tell the difference between that which is real and that which is fake? That involves judgment. That involves critique. And so the two halves of this course, essay writing and critical reading, is how do we read things in the world, and how do we make statements or write or speak or think about those things that we encounter. And those are the two key components of this course. And those two things come together in what I think is the sort of unifying thing, which is the process of critical thinking, a term that people use a lot these days, and this is what this course is going to be about, is how do we think about the things that we encounter, and how do we respond intelligently to those things through writing, through speaking, through whatever avenue it is that you're going to be pursuing in your life.